Hello, welcome to the Rabbit Hole Podcast with me, your host, Matty T. And as always, I'm joined by Alistair McKenzie and
Hello.
Aaron Young. How are we, boys?
Doing good. Back again.
Back again. It's been a wee while. We've been busy.
We've just been doing all the research for this.
Doing all
It's
research.
been extensive, yeah.
I've also been working on Scott Score, my other podcast. But yeah, we're back. We're finally back. And today we are going to be looking at some political assassinations. I wanted to do this one for a while, but there's other stuff I wanted to do first. But we're finally here, and we're going to look at probably the three most
Notorious.
Yeah.
three most famous assassinations of all time. We're going to start chronologically. We're going way back to 1865, and that's obviously Mr. Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
So we'll do a bit of background on him first. He was a very good guy.
Yeah.
He was probably regarded as one of the best presidents of all time.
Yeah. Ended slavery. And
Ended
the Civil
slavery.
War, yeah.
Also ended in tragedy. But yeah, one of the best presidents of all time, arguably. Won the Civil War. Abolished slavery, and then he got killed. Assassinated. So obviously we've done some research. Before looking at the research, what were your initial preconceptions, if that makes sense, of it? Did you know much about it, or?
Well, given his political background and why it goes back to why assassinations happen in the first place, it's usually to get rid of someone you politically disagree with, or to kind of like put their own party in disbelief and put them in a stray,
or stop a certain campaign.
Yeah, and that is pretty much what the assassinator John Wilkes Booth tried to do, because the racial tension, obviously, and the debate of slavery, if you could own a slave, was really tight, and it went to war with it. So that was how tight it was.
North and south.
Yeah. So it was, it was very politically motivated. It was from the Confederacy, because they were pro-slavery, and obviously Abraham ended slavery with acts like the Emancipation Proclamation, all that kind of stuff.
Jim Crow laws as well. It was obviously a big part.
That's 20th century kind of thing, but this is like before that.
Well, that was kind of around at that time. But obviously the assassinator was very racist. And obviously Lincoln wasn't. He was trying to move the world forward, make it a better place for Americans, black Americans, more specifically. Unfortunately, like we said in Transgender, this is unlike the other two. We'll look at this as a bit more open and closed case, I would say.
Yeah, it's a harder one to comment as well, because it's so long ago and it's not as tightly documented.
Well, there's still a lot of the evidence which eventually got the conspirators, if you will, convicted.
Yeah.
So we'll basically start off. Basically, kind of touched on why it happened, and then we'll go into now what happened. So obviously, we've all seen the famous kind of picture, I would say, the drawing of him at the theatre, and obviously the gun. The assassinator behind him, and the thing is, I don't think you would really know this from the outset, but there was like 8 conspirators, I think.
There was a group of them.
And obviously the main guy,
John Wilkes
Booth, was the main guy.
Also the only successful.
There was
3 assassination attempts that was happened. There was the vice president, president, and someone else. So I can't fully put my finger on.
I can't remember, but it was basically those 3 were targeted to basically bring down the government almost.
Yeah, they were essentially terrorists.
Yeah, they were kind of early terrorists, but the plan was originally just to kidnap them.
During the war.
Because
Abraham Lincoln wasn't. He'd give it. They started winning the war, and he wasn't trading Confederate hostages anymore. So Booth planned to kidnap probably the most valuable hostage and take Lincoln, but he cancelled his plans, and it never happened.
Yeah. Then obviously it kind of escalated into just full blown murder.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, I can't remember his name, he kind of wanted to back out.
Yeah.
He was targeted with the vice president, but he got too drunk essentially.
Yeah.
And just kind of wandered the streets, and that didn't happen. Yeah. And we'll go into that story. Obviously, Lincoln was at this theatre for this. What was it called? Was it called the Cousin of America or something?
Something like that title, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, it's quite a well known. It was
a well-known plane for the time.
Yeah.
It was a comedy, I'm assuming, because the plan was to shoot him when the laughter of the crowd would drown out the gunshot.
Yep. And the John Wilkes Booth obviously knew the place quite well. I don't know why that was, whether he worked there.
Well, he worked there. He was
Yeah.
a famous actor,
Yeah.
especially in that region.
Yeah, so he knew the outlay of the area. He knew how to get in and out. And what is quite weird as well. So basically, obviously, it's the president. He's going to have some sort of security. There's meant to be an officer outside watching his door, but for some reason
Wasn't there.
he wasn't there. People obviously like afterwards that got looked into, but there was no. You didn't find out the reason why he wasn't there.
Yeah, no direct evidence that the police just left him on purpose.
Yeah.
It's not as if he was conspiring with John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, yeah. I think
it was just total
it was just
accident.
total luck on
Yeah.
Wilkes Booth's side, and obviously he came in when the laughter was at the loudest. Shot through his
Left ear.
just below his left ear, and pretty much died instantly.
His
Then-
escape plan was a weird
Yeah,
one.
his escape
He
plan-
jumped off the balcony with his horse away like something out of
Yeah,
a western
I know.
film.
Thing is, he dropped. It was 12 feet from the balcony. Basically, obviously Lincoln was in a balcony, and
He
it,
jumped onto the stage. And
yeah, it was like 12 feet. So 12 foot. Sorry, so he could have hurt himself, but obviously didn't, and kind of got away, but not in the end. He
The
got
audience-
convicted, but yeah.
The audience sitting there like, I don't remember this part of the
Yeah,
play.
obviously the audience were a bit in shock and awe,
Yeah.
and then he obviously made his escape. But
He went on the run for 12 days.
12
Isn't it?
days, and it's from what we looked up at, it was the biggest manhunt in American
From that time.
history
Yeah.
at that time, and there was like £100,000,
$100,000 reward.
$100,000 sorry award, yeah. And obviously he got caught, but like we touched on earlier, he wasn't the only.
No, there was a
Conspirator.
group of them. Yeah.
And there was like a female, her name Mary. I can't remember her second name, Mary, and a bunch of other people. But Mary,
She owned the boarding house.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they
It was the
hosted
board-
most of their meetings at.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, she hosted their meetings. These racists basically just conspiring against the president and his office, basically his kind of
Yeah.
presidential team. And she was the first ever woman to be executed, and obviously the rest of them did as well.
I think John Wilkes Booth got a taste of his own medicine as well because he was shot in the
Yeah.
left ear.
So obviously Mary and the rest of the conspirators got executed, but he actually got assassinated himself.
Mhm.
It was kind of poetic in a way that he got
Poetic justice.
through the left ear. I'm not sure who actually assassinated him, but
Oh, he wasn't assassinated. It
Was
was when they were attempting to take him in. They ended up
yeah,
shooting
that was
him.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that technically is an assassination, but
I think what the main, if there's a conspiracy around it, is if the vice president has something to do with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
Because
Andrew Johnson.
John Wilkes was sent a letter to him
Yeah.
saying, "Are you something like, are you awake or something?
Are you well?
Are you well?"
yeah,
Something like, as if he's looking
He
out
left
for
it
him.
in the very boarding house that they were conspiring in as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
He Booth left
Which
left
people-
the letter.
a lot of people find that a bit odd. Why
bit
would
odd,
he?
yeah.
Why would he send letters? So there was obviously a theory that he was part of the conspiracy to basically overtake to get himself into the president's seat. But obviously he himself got
What attempted assassination?
Attempted
That's the conflicting
assassination,
part
yeah.
because that same group tried to kill him and it didn't work.
Well, he
plan
never
out.
even attempted it.
yeah. So maybe the conspiracy was he's part of it, but let's make it like he's not part of it by
Yeah.
attempting to, in your quotes, attempt to get him.
Yeah. I just don't see enough
Yeah,
direct proof that he had some sort of plan with it. And even if there was nowadays, it's not really.
yeah.
It'll be really hard to discover at this point unless some miraculous document
Yeah.
just gets found somewhere.
The only thing I can think of is the conspirators maybe had a slight soft spot for him, so they kind of wanted to warn him.
They might have, yeah, but
Yeah.
then again, he's the vice president. He would obviously be
Yeah.
along the same like political
Views.
Well,
views
Affiliation.
of
Yeah.
of Abraham. He would not elect a vice president who's going to have direct opposition to
Yeah.
him, you know. So it's weird that they would have a
Yeah, but
sympathy with him, unless maybe he did enact some laws that John Wilkes Booth agreed with.
yeah, which could be. But John Wilkes, he was thorough in his assassination. He got the job done, but obviously he ended up dying himself. And then obviously Andrew Johnson took over, became the next president, and was the rest kind of history.
Yeah.
But there's not much of a conspiracy. I think, like we touched on at the start, it's kind of an open and closed case.
Yeah, I think the police force and all the detectives
Yeah.
were in that situation with the limited resource they had handled it really well, and it was,
Yeah, I think they did.
it's
Yeah,
been well documented.
they did, and obviously, like we touched on earlier as well, the police, the officer that was outside Lincoln's kind of door to the the balcony, he barely received. I think he wasn't really expecting anything, so I think it was him just doing a
They
bad
held
job.
a case against him, but it didn't come to anything. They just dropped it. They
Yeah,
didn't
'cause
get any.
It was there's not much evidence. Basically,
No.
he just wasn't there at that time. Maybe away for a pee or yeah.
So that means it must have mean it's still possible he could have done it, but they just couldn't find anything to convict him of.
Yeah, I think personally he just went on break or went.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Really. Just bad luck.
Yeah, I don't think he was involved. But John Wilkes Booth always had a lot of hatred for this for Abraham Lincoln.
He put a massive stain on the Confederacy's
He did.
Stance on things. You
Yeah,
know.
massive racist. Obviously, like we said, Lincoln wanted to abolish slavery, which he eventually kind of did.
He did, yeah.
But the sad thing is, obviously, he spent most of his time in charge fighting the Civil War, and then when it finally ended, he ends up dying.
It was a few weeks after it.
A few weeks, yeah. So basically, through his presidential course, it was 4 years of fighting Civil War, which was obviously a brutal war. A lot of men died, and then also once he did eventually, when he died. So it's a tragic story for Lincoln. The only thing you could say positive was he eventually did get his ultimate goal.
Yeah, his legacy's still intact
His
as well. He's
legacy's
still
still
one
intact,
of the,
yeah.
if not the best president of all time,
Yeah.
as some people would say.
And he was obviously a very good public speaker. He was a motivator.
Oh yeah. A lot of people say he was quite soft-spoken as well.
Yeah, but it's just
Which
the
is-
words
Yeah,
resonated with people.
yeah. Sorry, not soft-spoken, but higher pitched.
Yeah,
That's,
I can looking at me. I can see
could,
that.
maybe, yeah. I always picture him as a deeper voice, just from his
Yeah.
because of the big beard and that. He's
Yeah.
looked authoritative in that, but not a lot of people. From recorded history, they say that
Yeah.
he probably had a higher pitch.
And now obviously he's got that famous statue in Washington.
Yeah, Lincoln Monument.
Yeah. So his legacy is intact. It's a tragic ending for him, but obviously he got his
Got his way in the end.
he got his way in the end. He didn't really get to see it, but
Yeah, but it didn't stop his legacy. It didn't
Didn't-
tarnish it. If anything, it
Yeah.
made it even more boastful.
yeah, obviously, and John Wilkes Booth got his own.
I mean, that's always the downside of
Demise.
assassinations. You could do the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Because it's trying to stop something, as you say, but then if anything, it could fortify it even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. So
You know?
John Wilkes got his justice in the end. Like, he obviously died, and the rest, like we said, the first woman, Mary, to ever be executed.
They all stood in trial, but it
Yeah.
was a rather rushed
Yeah,
trial.
it was
which
rather rushed.
adds
Basically, what,
fuel to the conspiracy that
But I think-
Johnson wanted to just silence them.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think personally, they just wanted to rush it because they were so angry. They knew it was
They
them.
wanted to set a precedent,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, presidents. Yeah. But like I said, we're kind of touching. There's not much of a conspiracy there. There's just
Not much, but it's still a fascinating
It's
one
still
to like,
and
pick apart. And
I would say it's maybe the first ever recorded assassination.
yeah, first like famous
Yeah.
political assassination.
I would say so, yeah.
There's been tons. There's probably lots, but this is like
Oh
probably the
yeah,
first mainstream
ages
one.
Yeah.
back to the ancient era of
Yeah.
assassination.
But
if
like
you look
back
at-
in the ancient era, murders happened left, right, and centre on that.
Oh yeah, if you look at like the Chinese
Yeah.
dynasty and that, and
Yeah. But we'll move on next in the chronological order to the man JFK,
John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy. Now this, I would say, is probably the most famous
Yeah, this
political assassination. There's so much to it. There's so many.
it's still speculated.
It's still
to this day.
speculating. So we'll kind of touch on like we touched on the history of Lincoln. We'll touch on the history of Kennedy.
Yep.
He was a pioneer. He wanted to bring America into a new age, almost kind of like Lincoln in a way. He wanted to send people to the moon. He wanted, obviously, he was president during the Cold War. But he seemed like a very nice person, a very down to earth,
Diplomatic.
diplomatic.
I think
yeah.
that's the first word that comes to mind when
Yeah.
I think of him.
And I think of him as more left wing, I would say.
Well, he's a Democrat,
Yeah.
so maybe not properly, but maybe like centre.
Yeah. And he just wanted to make America a better place. He wanted to abolish, well, obviously Lincoln abolished slavery, but JFK wanted to abolish racism in general.
I think he was naturally
Yeah.
against it at first with the
Yeah.
civil rights protest because he thought it would look bad on
Yeah.
all the legislation that had been passed, but eventually did let it.
Yeah.
He let it go ahead with all the protests, and it eventually led to civil rights
Yeah.
acts being signed in the future.
Yeah,
Obviously-
it would have been shooting himself
Yeah.
in the foot to immediately go with
Oh, yeah.
the civil rights movement
Yeah.
when before it had come about. Because a lot of his contested seats were in
We're in
places
Wayne.
where they enjoyed apartheid. shall we say.
Yeah.
Especially in southern states, so that's
Yeah.
where he needed his votes the most because they were crucial.
Yeah. I think he was from the south himself.
Yeah, he
Oh,
was. I think
Yeah, he was in
Yes.
Texas.
Was he from Texas?
Yeah,
That's
I
a
think
very famous conservative state.
and obviously him winning obviously winning presidency made a big statement.
Yeah.
And like one of his first, I think if I recall correctly, one of his first ever things he said, he wants to send man to the moon, and obviously they did.
Yeah, in 1969, I think it was.
1969,
or the late
Neil
60s.
Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and
correlates with a date for another assassination
yeah,
we're looking at.
we'll touch on that, yeah. And he obviously he wasn't perfect. He cheated on his wife with
Oh, multiple people.
well, most people, but most famously Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
So he wasn't. No one's perfect.
And he had a really stressful time as well with the Cuban Missile Crisis, which
Yeah.
was when like communists were taking over like Cuba,
Yeah.
which was right on like near Florida. So that was like the first
Yeah.
communist state to really enter American kind of space, and that was a really stressful because that could have been full on disaster.
Yeah.
And he was the one that pulled through it all,
Yeah,
you know. And then that was just the year before he got shot.
yeah. And he basically permanently wore this kind of back brace because he had like a lot of back issues.
Yeah.
So he had a poor kind of stance.
Which can
Yeah.
cost some people that because it makes you look weak. But
Yeah,
he
exactly.
because he had a charismatic voice.
Yeah.
He was young as well. That's
He
probably
was
played
very
big.
young, and he came from a family of kind of
Yeah,
famous people.
I think he had an Irish heritage. I'm sure.
Kennedy.
I'm sure he did.
Kennedy, yeah, sounds kind of Irish.
When it was in Ireland, they have a lot of photos of him
Yeah.
in pubs and that. I'm sure he did. Same with Ronald Reagan as well.
Yeah. But overall, I know it's perfect. Like I say, cheating his wife, done a lot of not shady stuff, but I got a lot of kind of questionable stuff. He was unfaithful, but eventually we know what happens here. He got himself shot.
Got shot 1963, November 22nd, I think it
Yeah,
was.
officially by a man called Lee Harvey Oswald. And that's where the conspiracy comes in. So basically, to paint the picture, he was doing a open limousine, not tour, but kind of like, waving, like,
Yeah.
crowd and that.
Yeah, down in one of his contested states.
And it was
Texas,
Texas,
yeah, it was
yeah.
Texas,
Where he
yeah.
was from. And then there was officially 3 shots. 2 went in the back of his neck, 1 went.
No, one went
Yeah.
through the back of his neck, one went through the back of his head, and one shot his vice president.
That was it, yeah, that was it.
Not vice president, it was Lyndon B. Johnson.
I think it's just
Oh,
one of
was
his
It was one of his counsellors or something.
one of his team, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the front seat.
Yeah, but he survived.
Yeah.
And there was obviously we know we've all, I'm sure we've all seen the famous video.
Yeah.
It's
It's quite a harrowing video.
I've actually not watched
Have
it.
you
not?
No, on compassionate grounds, I've refused to watch any.
but the thing is, there's not a lot of blood in it. We've had,
Well, there.
No, but there's still a death of another
Yeah.
human, which.
Yeah. Like for the footage of the time, it's still pretty graphic when you
yeah,
see
and
it.
just the
'cause
way you see his head kind of
Yeah,
go up.
it's funny because a lot of people say, I think he felt the first shot.
Yeah,
And
obviously.
he must have felt it, and then
He was trying to kind of
he was going over to Jackie,
Yeah, to
as
save
if he was
her.
trying to say something, and then
Yeah.
it was too late. That's when the bullet hit him again. That's right
Yeah.
in the head.
But then there's also the magic bullet,
The magic bullet for you, yeah.
which basically didn't really make sense because obviously it shot he's not the vice president, that guy I mentioned.
Yeah, it's when it hit him,
Then kind of turned,
curved, and
Yeah.
then hit his counselor right in front of
But-
the front seat.
which makes no sense whatsoever if you know the basic laws of physics.
Well, no, there is some evidence for it and against it.
Yeah, but overall it doesn't really make too much sense.
Well, in the direction they
Yeah.
pointed at and the way the bullet hit, it did seem to line up because I think Kenny was up in a higher seat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he
climbed a
was
bit
sat
higher.
more in the back of the car.
Yeah,
Just like for me, I
and
just can't.
sometimes weird medical stuff happens
Yeah.
like that by pure chance, and some weird anomalies like this can happen.
There's a chance that if it hit any bone, it could splinter the bullet, and a
And kinda-
fragment of it could
See,
have
it
hit.
didn't fragment. No, that's
It
That's
didn't?
the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I think they
Right.
said that it went through the 2 bullets and it somehow didn't shatter.
Yeah, so
which is a bit. That's
that's-
what kind of case against it.
That's it's just questionable the fact that this bullet didn't shot. It just almost turned like kind of 90 degrees.
Mm. Well, some people have a different
Yeah.
reason. Some people it's a full 90 degrees. Some say it's just a small curve. It was enough to go through 2 of them, but
Yeah.
for the bullet to remain
But
intact.
I bet
Is
if
a
you
bit
think about
funny.
it, bullets and weapons at that time are not as sophisticated as they are now. It just doesn't really add up to me,
Yeah.
and that's where people say there's a second shooter.
Yeah, I think that's the more plausible
Yeah.
one. I think there are some for and against for the magic bullet. I don't want to fully disprove it, but I
Yeah.
think the second shooter
I
seems
think
more,
it makes more sense.
seems more like logical as well if you weren't going to carry out an assassination like this, because if one guy misses, you've still got another chance somewhere else.
Yeah, if you're going to assassinate a president, you need to be thorough. You need to at least have multiple shooters just in case.
You really need to cover your tracks for that, because when you do shoot a president, that's you number one public enemy.
People who were there at the time, who were there at the scene, their stories kind of conflict. Apparently there was 3 shots. Apparently there was 4.
Yeah. That always happens.
Some said there was as many as 7.
Yeah. So the fact that there's conflicting reports just doesn't really make sense. Because surely if you were there, you should definitely be, I heard 3 shots, or I heard whatever.
It depends on who you
ask. I think maybe in the heat of the moment though, you'd lose count of that. I wouldn't.
Plus, there's a lot of psychological sides where you miss a lot of things more than you actually think. Because you're so honed in on some things, you just miss so much, and then when you recall witness stuff, everyone tends to over exaggerate all the time because they're so frightened. And in the moment as well.
If you hear one shot, obviously hysteria is going to break out.
Yeah, and you start to hear loads.
And you make mistake something for a shot.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's so many conflicting reports makes you think there's got to be something more. There's got to be a second shooter.
Yeah. Do you guys know about the Umbrella Man?
Well, the babushka lady.
Well, that's the 2 main ones, because those are the ones in the photos and the video. They seem to be the ones that don't seem to be reacting normally to an assassination that's happened. Do you know about them, Ali?
No, I don't actually.
No, none of them at all.
No. Enlighten them.
Okay, so what one do I start with? I think the most plausible one I think is Umbrella Man. I think he's got the most case for him.
Yeah.
So essentially, when the FBI and that were reviewing the footage, they were looking at the photos, and there's a guy with an umbrella. Now
it's a sunny day.
It's clear sun in that, and it's one man with an umbrella. He's doing nothing. He's just standing there, and some people think he was an FBI informant trying to assassinate him.
Yeah, so basically
in cahoots with Lee Harvey Oswald.
And basically, if you look into it, it is quite possible for an umbrella to be a gun of sorts. It is possible.
I've heard stories about that where the weapons have been used, poison darts or something. But some people will also say it's just a signal for the other shooter to go.
It could be, but
for an umbrella.
But he was interviewed years later.
He was interviewed years later, and he gave a reason. It was a political protest because umbrellas have been used.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've been used as how Neville Chamberlain appeased World War II. Some people use umbrellas to signify that, to protest against him, and that's what the Umbrella Man tried to claim he did too.
I think it was just a protest.
It could be, but his reason just was a bit flimsy.
Yeah.
It felt like a dodge more than an actual reason. And some people have said though that people use umbrellas to cover the sun.
Yeah.
So that's another reasonable
it could
thing
make
too.
sense, but
because it's Texas and the sun, that's really hot.
And it could be have some sort of skin condition where the sun negatively affects them or whatever.
Yeah.
There's also the babushka lady, which you know what a babushka is.
No, I don't actually.
Is it like a Russian headdress?
Like,
wear a scarf.
Yeah.
Basically, she was wearing that, and when the shots went off, there's videos of her, along with that famous video. There's videos of her when the shots went off. She's just standing there and not reacting.
Not reacting, yeah, and she's taking photos as well.
She's taking photos, and it's obviously a bit. But the thing is,
shady, yeah.
And the thing is, what makes it even more shady, she's never ever been identified.
People have claimed to say that they are, but there's not. It's been disproved.
I think that's just people trying to get fame. Yeah.
Because whilst they're trying to get as much evidence as possible, her taking photos right in front of the car would have been crucial. That's why they were really trying hard get her to come forward. And some people claim
I think there might have been rewards in that as well.
Oh, there would have been, yeah. But as far as I'm aware, she hasn't came forward, which made her more mysterious.
I think she might be dead as well.
Oh,
she looked quite old at the time.
She looked middle-aged.
At the time, and this is what 1963, so she'll be long gone by now.
Long gone, or
so
old she forgot everything. Yeah.
But it's just so on the day the presidents get assassinated, maybe I'm kind of looking at this too deeply, but obviously there's a lot of tension with Russia at the time, and she looks quite Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A babushka, right? She must be a commie. Yeah. She's wearing the Russian headdress.
But on a day
you'd have got a job in the FBI back in the day.
But the day the president gets assassinated, she's sitting there taking pictures, looking a bit suspicious. The way she was dressed as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't really sit well with me.
Yeah, the only unsettling thing was because she reacted so vacant to it. Everyone is running, screaming, she's just standing there.
Yeah, people running past her and that, she's just sitting there.
But still taking photos. Either she's so old, she's just not realised what's happening and still thinks there's a parade going on.
But yeah, I think there's something up about that.
Something up, but is it enough to say that she's in cahoots with the FBI or whoever? Or with Lee Harvey Oswald?
Yeah, but going back to the actual not convicted, but basically the confirmed shooter. There's a lot of evidence that it was. The official story was there was 3 shots, and there was the Texas book.
It was like a book depository.
Where the shots apparently came from. They went up there. They found a rifle with his fingerprints on it. They found 3 case shellings. Is that the right word?
Case shells, I think.
Case shells, yeah, basically.
They didn't actually match up with the gun though, the shells.
That was it. But there was a lot. His fingerprints were all over them, and when witnesses who worked at this book depository they saw him walk in with a big dubious looking package, which is obviously going to be the gun.
Yeah.
And when he ordered that gun, he done it under a fake name called A. Hiddle. And they eventually found A. Hiddle.
But he wasn't that smart about it though, because the P.O. box that it was sent to was in his name.
Yeah. So he wasn't too smart about covering his tracks, but he used a fake name regardless. Went up. A lot of people say the shots came. Well, so we touched on the second shooter. People say the shots came from there, but majority of people say that it came from up there.
From there, yeah.
And people kind of saw him.
Some people claim they did see a rifle up on one of the top floors.
Potentially, maybe the initial shot came from there, and then the second shooter
started
when the chaos went off and was maybe masked by that.
There's actually a theory about that. Basically, he initiated it, and the hysteria person who had a better shot, a bit closer. Done the fatal one, and that's when the magic kind of bullets comes in.
You need to have nerves of steel to shoot, then miss, and then try again. Because see if I was in it and I shot and I missed, I'd be immediately shaking and feel like, what have I done? I fucked this up.
But he goes into why did he do it?
Why? Well, there's been claims that he had some ties with the USSR.
Yeah,
he was trying to get his citizenship.
He
was a non-communist. He tried to defect to the Soviet Union.
He had a meeting with a member of the
KGB.
In New Mexico City.
Yeah, but the KGB denied they were ever associated with him.
Yeah.
They don't deny the meeting, they just said it never came to anything.
Yeah, basically. His application got rejected, basically.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember, it was in the army, wasn't he?
I think army training.
I think you might be.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking of the next one. I think I'm thinking of the next one. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he had some kind of training though, Levi Harvey Oswald.
I'm sure he did.
You need to have some kind of training.
He did have training. He was very good with a gun.
To get shot accuracy, he must have had some training, especially in America, where anyone can get a gun essentially.
But I think it was like 12 hours after he got arrested, and a nightclub owner by the name of a very mafia typical named Jack Ruby, shot him. And like the questions were why did he shoot him?
The most famous one is he had ties with the mafia,
which
most nightclubs would have had at the time.
So
he said his motivation was to, 1, avenge Kennedy, and 2, so that Jackie never had to go back to trial and face Lee Harvey Oswald again.
Which is kind of stupid reason to do it, but
it's an admirable one though.
I think it's a cover-up reason.
My personal belief is
go for the admirable option.
Yeah, well, he's obviously not an admiral guy if he's shooting someone, but my personal opinion was that Lee Harvey Oswald in trial would have somehow released information that would incriminate Jack Ruby, like we touched on, maybe ties to the mafia, or maybe Jack Ruby was involved himself.
And people think the mafia did take out Kennedy as well. Because I think his brother really cracked down on the mafia after the assassination as well. Yeah, I mean, it's basically kind of hard to... Because the mafia is so big, it's like try to chase a shadow. Yeah, and this was like during the...
Was this the other brother that was assassinated
so
as well?
Two Kennedys were assassinated, obviously JFK the most famous one.
Is that the case of the polka dot dress?
Polka dot dress, I don't know this one.
Oh, I forget what assassination it was tied to exactly. I'm sure it was one of the Kennedys though.
Oh, right.
There was a man that shot one of the Kennedys, and he said all he could remember was this woman in a polka dot dress coming up and saying to him, and then,
that rings a bell, yeah,
and the next thing he remembers is being arrested by the police.
No, that rings a bell. That I think that was definitely, I don't know if that was JFK or
no, it wasn't JFK, it was one of the other Kennedy brothers.
Must have been Robert Kennedy then.
I think it was Robert. Both good men, both obviously got assassinated, but Jack Ruby, for some reason, most likely for kind of shady reasons, shot Lee Harvey Oswald, I think, was to silence him.
Yeah. Have you heard the other theory that the FBI hypnotised him to do it?
Yeah, that also kind
That,
of.
that ties into the polka dot dress
That's
what I was
theory.
Yeah, see when you start explaining about more,
Yeah.
it started to ring some bells. I think that sounds like hypnotism.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of Lennon's assassination, where apparently he was hypnotised to kill John Lennon.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Vladimir Lenin.
No, no, John, right, Big John.
Oh yeah, like John Lennon, yeah.
But I think that's just a kind of cop it. Oh, I got hypnotised. I don't remember.
It is, and I've not seen it. I've
Yeah.
not seen enough evidence where hypnotised is enough to really override someone to kill
Yeah.
another person.
I mean, obviously the
Unless Ali disagrees with you.
Oh
and
no,
says
I
something.
just no, I'm totally with you. It's just that it conflicts with his statement he gave initially. Was the reason he killed him was he hated the later works of the Beatles, the breakup and the stuff he
Yeah.
did with Yoko Ono,
Oh right, yeah.
which makes me think, why didn't you shoot Yoko?
I know,
I know.
Do us all a favour.
but the US government obviously it's been revealed they had MK Ultra, and they were like basically against their will, obviously.
Was it proven that it actually worked though, the MK Ultra?
Well,
Like, obviously it happened, but did it?
apparently it did, and it's apparently officially it's ended, but apparently it's still going today. That kind of ties in with all these celebrities. Maybe I've showed you videos of like Shaq freezing and that. It ties into that. Well, maybe a video for another day, but
Yeah.
and obviously the government, US government, put like LSD and obviously just civilians. I don't know if there's a water or they basically put LSD into them without them
They
realising.
loved experimenting with LSD in the 60s,
Yeah.
not just recreationally, but the FBI especially. That's
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of him, the Unabomber.
yeah,
He was abused on LSD in college. It was an experiment. They basically
yeah,
loaded him up with it and then berated him with insults. You know, your mother never loved you, and all just
Yeah.
horrific stuff.
just basically effing with his mind.
Yeah.
But that's kind of some of the reasons why Oswald may have done it against his own will. But I think he was in cahoots with the FBI or something like that.
I definitely think the FBI and the mafia
Yeah, I mean,
has something to do with
The
it.
FBI will.
Oh, they didn't like Kennedy at all.
No, they really didn't.
And there's also been some evidence pointing that Lyndon B. Johnson, who was the vice president, wanted Kennedy out of it because he was wanting to be president.
And obviously they did eventually become president, and he obviously gets involved in our
The
Our
next
next
one,
one.
yeah. So do you? What do you guys think
I-
that
I
happened
put-
to Kennedy?
I think it was I think it was the FBI.
I can't prove it without reasonable
Yeah.
doubt, but there is a suspicion there that there was
Yeah.
some
I
involvement.
mean, the FBI officially they do a lot of good. They obviously, for the most part, do a lot of good, but they've got a
We've got a lot of shady
they've
stuff.
got a bad track
They've
record.
got some self-interest.
Yeah,
And they've still have a lot of controversy nowadays with spying on people.
yeah, which I don't doubt, and obviously
The
they've
whole prison thing that Snowden blew up.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, even before Snowden, it was Snowden that made it famous,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
always been leaked loads of times.
It just came to my mind there. You see, Julian Assange got arrested.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind him,
Ecuador just
but a
told
lot-
him to fuck off,
I know.
basically.
which basically opened up the door for him to get arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Russia to do it with Snowden.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
think that's going to happen.
I don't think
though.
it will.
Nah.
Well, they've got two. They've got Chelsea Manning, they've got Assange. It's just
Yeah.
Snowden now is the final target.
But Julian Assange, he leaked a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff he leaked put people in danger.
Mm. He
So,
fucked with the American election,
Yeah.
allegedly.
but that just came to mind there. But yeah, I think we're
Sidetracked in a wee bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
sidetracked a wee bit. I think JFK. I think it was the FBI were involved in some way. Maybe not to the extent like they outright ordered the assassination, but I think they maybe helped with it.
Yeah. Oh, well, because they knew about
Yeah.
him, and then, days after he engaged in suspicious activities with the KGB, they took Oswald off the persons of interest list.
Yeah, and the fact that obviously he got assassinated himself before he went to Shell, kind of.
Just seems convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to the third and final assassination of the what was his title? Like was he a lead? Not leader. He was a
It was a pastor,
pastor. He was a pastor, but he was like a big political.
political activist,
But that's the
civil
one.
rights
That's
activist.
the one.
yeah.
Like, yeah, the big civil rights activist. Martin Luther King.
Yep.
We'll talk about a bit of history of him. Obviously, he's born 1929, I believe.
929, yeah.
He's Martin Luther King Senior, his dad, was a pastor.
Yeah.
And then he became one. Then eventually got not caught up, but he kind of got tied into
in civil rights,
yeah.
especially the Rosa Parks
that's
boycott.
Kind of what I knitted from. So Rosa Parks, I'm sure we've all heard about her in some way. Basically, obviously during the 1960s, in America there was segregation,
yeah, Jim Crow laws.
Racism was very rife. Jim Crow laws as well, which is kind of hypocritical considering America went to war with Germany to stop the Jews getting.
Yeah, but they had no problem doing it
Yeah.
with black people.
Yeah, so it's like that's kind of
Hypocritical.
Yeah.
We did the exact same, though.
Oh no.
Yeah, British Empire and that, but
basically everyone's terrible. That's the
yeah,
history. Yeah.
there's no good guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rosa Parks basically, the front of the bus was reserved for white people, and she sat down, and this white guy told her to move, and she refused.
Yeah, it was black
Yeah.
people can sit there, but
Yeah.
if there was not enough space for white people,
It
they
was
had
at the
to get
liberty of
moved.
the bus
Yeah.
driver to say, right,
Come on,
black people
you
in
need
the
to
back.
go back.
Yeah.
It's by the law. And then I think she's noticed it for a while, but then this was the final straw. It was in
Yeah.
the 50s. And it started a boycott where she refused
Yeah.
to give up her seat. And then she already had ties with Martin Luther King before that, because they were both into civil rights
Yeah.
at the time. But this was the one that really got it into
That's
the
kinda-
mainstream.
that kinda
They got
sparked
worldwide outrage about
the
it.
I
fire.
swear they picked Rosa Parks as well because they went with someone else. Or it wasn't that they went with someone, there was someone else that did this originally, but she had a bit of a dodgy reputation for being a bit of a miscreant.
Yeah.
So they went with Rosa Parks.
She was seen
and
as like,
yeah,
you know,
more noble.
Yeah.
More noble and vulnerable as well, because she was
Yeah.
kind of not like old, but a more older.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
younger black woman initially.
Yeah, and obviously Rosa Parks got fined $100, I think.
Yeah, that'll teach her.
And
It was 10 and 4 for charges.
Yeah.
For fees.
that obviously kind of lit the fire, so to speak, that ignited it all.
Yeah.
And then obviously MLK got involved. He became the figurehead of the movement.
Yeah. Racial equality.
Racial equality. I think he was after Malcolm X, wasn't he?
Well, I think they were around
Yeah.
similar at the same time. I don't know who started which, but it was
Yeah.
Martin Luther King was because Malcolm X was more of a like Marxist
Yeah,
kind of thing, so he might have been a bit more harder to kind of sell to the American public.
yeah.
But Martin Luther King was
It was
a bit,
like he was
a pacifist,
non-violent,
non-violent
non-violent.
pacifist,
Christian,
Christian
most
as well.
importantly.
Yeah.
whereas Malcolm X was violent.
Islamic
Yeah.
as well.
Islamic, yeah.
And was he involved with was it what they call the Black Panthers or the
I don't know if he was indirectly involved, but
Yeah.
he probably had ties to them,
Yeah.
especially they probably had the same sort of ideology.
yeah, but like Martin Luther King, he was seen as this almost Gandhi figure.
Yeah, kind of for his
Yeah.
time.
And he done a lot of good. He was a very, very good man.
Yeah.
Also, we've all seen that famous speech, I Have a Dream,
yeah.
and that was on the Lincoln Memorial.
Lincoln, that was a Lincoln.
Yeah, so they all kind of link in here.
I know.
That had,
That's a very poetic image as well,
I know.
using the man who stopped like slavery
yeah,
to now bring like a new version. Like 'cause
Yeah.
it's sort of like a more indirect way of slavery,
Yeah.
oppressing
Yes.
people by segregation. You know.
and there was
Diet slavery.
Diet
diet
slavery,
slavery. There was thousands and thousands of people there, and that
Yeah,
riled
hundreds of
everyone up.
thousands, yeah.
And
But that brought a lot of enemies as
it
well.
did. And why was he a doctor again? Why was he a doctor?
I think the
Yeah.
doctorate might have actually been in Christian philosophy because he was a preacher after
Yeah.
all.
So maybe it wasn't actually a doctor, but
Well, a doctorate.
yeah. But yeah, right, it inspired like millions of people
Yeah.
around the world, especially obviously America.
Passed the Civil Rights Act.
Passed
By
Civil
Lyndon B.
Rights
Johnson.
Act. Yeah, and before he obviously got assassinated, he had a few attempts on him.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of pushback, especially
Yeah.
white southern states, white people
Yeah,
had massive
Especially
pushback.
after that act was put in place.
yeah, that was
'Cause
by London.
They must have thought like, see the whole Republicans in that at the time.
Yeah.
They must have thought this is the end. Well,
Yeah.
what else have
Yeah.
we got to offer? You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, also JFK's successor.
Yeah,
Hit this act.
there's video footage of him like trying to make it through public spaces. There's massive
Yeah.
pushback. There's like people throwing stuff at him. He must have he must have had some real nerves, but he was very
He had
principled.
balls of steel.
Balls of steel, definitely.
And he had 4 children.
I don't know how many children he had. I know he had.
I had a
children,
few,
but-
and obviously, I'm sure that it must be still alive. I'm sure.
Yeah. and he was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel
He was
in 1968.
1968, yeah, just before. A year
Was it?
before
I thought it was 69.
I'm sure it's 68. I got the
I
years
think it was
mixed up.
68.
April 1968.
Yeah, the next year obviously landed on the moon.
Yep.
Which again ties back to JFK, but the official story was he was at the Lorraine Motel. I think he was there to do some sort of speech or whatever. In fact, I want to touch on it before I forget. He wasn't just doing it in America. He went to Norway.
Yeah, for the Nobel Peace
And
Prize.
he got a Nobel Peace Prize, which again just kind of clarifies how good a person he was. But going back to the actual assassination, he was at this Lorraine Motel. His family were kind of unpacking, and that's he went out to the balcony just to kind of get his bearings, I presume, get a bit of fresh air or whatever. Across the street there was this other hotel, I think, or was it another motel? I think it was another motel, yeah, across the street. And I was just unknowingly, obviously, he was getting watched, getting tracked. For years he was getting tracked. Obviously,
Yeah.
the US government
It
passed.
was
in
4
his phone.
years before that they tapped his.
Yeah.
Before
J.
it-
Edgar Hoover.
Yeah, J.
Yeah.
Edgar Hoover. He's been tapped for years, so obviously this guy knew where he was going to be.
Yep.
He was getting watched, and then eventually one shot
I think it was for his neck or
through
something.
the
Yeah.
neck, through his jugular,
Yeah.
and he was.
through his jaw.
Yeah.
Then someone came out, obviously saw him. He was kind of lying sprawled,
Yeah, there's a famous photograph of
Yeah.
him, and they're pointing to where they think the bullet was
Yeah.
taken.
but which doesn't match up where officially it was
Yeah.
taken. Obviously went to hospital and was pronounced dead.
Yeah, they said that the wound was too much.
It was
like,
too
lost,
much.
Obviously, must have lost 2 bloods, and the wound was just too deep.
Yeah, but it was a very clean.
It was a clean cut.
So which
shot.
also suggests it was done by someone who knows what they're doing.
Had some training, which gets into the
Which
conspiracy
gets
in a
to the
way.
conspiracies. So his name was James Earl Ray.
James Earl Ray.
He
Yeah.
had history. He was in the army,
Mhm.
but he got discharged, and he was basically most of his adult life he was in and out of jail. He had a shady history.
Mostly armed robbery.
Most armed robbery, had a violent past, and he's the one that officially got done for the murder, the assassination. However,
Mhm.
where he shot from this other motel across the street, I believe it was, didn't corroborate. People think it came from bushes.
Yep.
And there's like obviously pictures that we mentioned where they're pointing where they think the shots came from,
Yeah.
or this shot came from, and doesn't actually match where it officially came from.
Yeah.
People think this was done again by the government,
Yeah. The FBI.
the FBI, to basically shut him up.
Yeah, to quell racial tensions,
Yeah.
basically.
Personally, well, not firmly believe, but I do highly believe the FBI was in some sort of involvement with this
Yeah.
through stalking him and wiretapping, all that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Just because the government opposed the civil rights and all that, there was probably a lot of secret backchecks to try to get it halted. And see if you actually look at I feel that it was politically motivated, because see if you
100%.
actually look at Martin Luther King's background, he had a pretty far left view on most things.
Yeah.
He admitted he was a socialist. He wanted wealth redistribution as well. He talked about how the poor are still this government that has so much money still makes this country poor, is
Yeah.
equivalent to cannibalism. And he talked about universal healthcare as well, even before. And this is like a topic it's about now, but he talked about universal healthcare, universal basic income, and it's so funny how a lot of Republicans say he would have been Republican now, which is quite the opposite.
No.
So I feel and Lyndon Dean Johnson was so angry with him after the Civil Rights Act because he wouldn't stop. They thought the Civil Rights Act would be enough for
Yeah,
them.
it would
But then he
silence
started
him.
talking about wealth inequality and all that kind of stuff. So it's like Lyndon B. Johnson went, fine, give him the Civil Rights Act. Hang on, wealth redistribution? Right, no, he needs to go.
Yeah.
So I do think there is some sort of political motivation for this
100%.
one.
I think every assassination's politically motivated.
Yeah, but this one I feel it's the most obvious.
Yeah.
Because it's when he started talking about the economy.
Yeah.
That's when he got killed. Not for he was attempted before, but this is the
Yeah.
one that got him.
Yeah.
And the fact that his own family don't believe
His own family don't believe it. Yeah, they
don't
try to,
believe
cope
that
with
they
it.
convicted, which is very strange. You'd think they finally got justice. They've got some sort of closure. The guys in jail. I think he got 99 years.
Yeah.
In which he should have technically got the death penalty, I would say, because at the time racial tension was high. He just got jail time.
Yeah.
But if it was a white person that got assassinated, I reckon he would have got this death sentence.
Mm.
But anyway, his family don't believe it was actually him. they think there was something more. And like I said,
They think it was this Raoul figure
Raoul.
that the guy said it was. Instead, he was contacted by this Raoul figure.
It was a Hispanic. Apparently, it was a Hispanic government agent, and named Raoul, but there was no record of him ever existing.
Yeah.
Which kind of adds fuel to the fire, kind of puts anything up in the air. But it's like the fact, imagine I kill you, that's alright, and your family don't believe it was me. Like, it's just very strange thing. They wouldn't have said that without actually believing it.
Because most families just want it to be private. They just want it over and done with. But
Yeah.
the fact that they're still like firmly believing there was something behind it must give them some conviction. They must have some. Maybe they were suspicious of it before when he was alive.
Yeah.
And then when they got killed, it just confirmed their kind of fears.
In 1999, it wasn't a retrial of sorts, but they had a chance to kind of show their evidence. This is why we don't think it's this guy. This is why we think it's the government or whatever. But the jury and the judges didn't.
They threw it out because there was no counter evidence to say.
Which makes sense, you know. And then obviously that's the kind of, that was what, 20. It'll be 20 years ago this year that it would happen, and there's obviously been nothing since. So maybe they've gave up, or they can't find any evidence to counter the argument.
Yeah. But
just the fact they're doing it in the first place is very
suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of going back to JFK, but you know the papers were released unclassified in 2017. The MLK papers are going to be released in 2027.
I'll be interested.
So that'll be interesting when that comes out. There's still a fair bit to go, but that's when the official release date
heavily
for
redacted though, like the JFK files though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still stuff in JFK files that are.
Are they still redacted? Like
it's not all released.
It's not all released. There's this Russian guy for JFK who was heavily involved, but they've not released everything.
Yeah. So I wonder how much will be redacted the MLK one, because I feel like that one's a lot more muddy waters.
Yeah, I think they'll release stuff that kind of doesn't really matter.
Probably, yeah. They still have that suspicion they might they might release some files, but not all the files that will heavily incriminate someone.
The government today are obviously embarrassed by it that
they are
that they assassinated just basically through racial reasons. Obviously they would be embarrassed, but you need to own up to your mistakes.
That's what.
It's hardly even their mistakes though. Yeah. It's their organisation that it's generations before.
Yeah. But some people will say like politics influences the culture as well.
Yeah.
So that in a way the politicians are somewhat to blame, because they've actually some particular parties have just fed this behaviour, especially in southern states. Because it's funny, it used to be the Democrats who were pro-slavery, then it totally flipped because the ideology flipped. Yeah, it was Democrats that were pro-slavery during Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
Yeah. So what's Trump? Is he?
He's a Republican.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but they're obviously the ideology now is totally flipped. I don't know how.
It's really strange.
It is strange, but it does happen. It just happens over time, because obviously. I mean, Abraham Lincoln, that was over 200 years ago now.
You can kind of look at.
Well, almost.
In Britain, Labour kind of becoming more Tory-ish.
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
More central.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not the same Labour that they were in the 90s.
Corporatist. I would say.
But going back to kind of sidetrack here, but it's a shame. I think MLK was doing a lot of good stuff, and he eventually did get his goal. He wanted black children to play with white kids, and that obviously still happens. Then obviously the first black president not long ago.
Yeah. Come a long way.
They've come a long way.
Because when you think about it, like 2008 was when Barack Obama was in, and that was not that long ago in the grand scheme
of
things.
That was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And he got 2 terms, obviously. He got his full 8 years. And then kind of got all ruined by Donald Trump, but
I know it went from one day to the other. But it's all I've always noticed. It's always the people who advocate for peace are the ones to get shot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The absolute irony of it all.
There's money in war.
Yeah.
There is.
Money talks as well.
Money talks, yeah. And it's just strange. Family Guy actually made a really good point once. If there is a cure for cancer, they're not going to release it because there's more money in treating cancer than curing it.
Yeah, that's another rabbit hole.
That's another rabbit hole.
Save for another time.
Anything you want to add about any of the assassinations?
I think I've made most of my points clear, but it's really just about
political.
What you advocate for and how much you're willing to do it, because most of them are at risk of death.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what we're getting into. Like we say, MLK had loads of attempts on him.
Yeah. Aye.
And obviously, the most professional attempt, if you want to put it that way, is the one that kind of paid off.
Yeah, and even the most famous assassination started a world war, Franz Ferdinand
Yeah.
in Bosnia.
Yeah.
And that was just pure chance. Another kind of one. A lot of these tend to happen by.
Yeah, because they
most of the
changed
time by luck.
the Franz Ferdinand. They changed the street, and it just so happened they were there at that time.
Yeah, because one of the assassinators gave up,
Yeah.
went to a pub, he appeared again.
And he's like, "Oh, here's my
Yeah,
chance."
there's my other chance, and then that's what I did.
And
And
then-
then here we are.
It was so stupid like that. He got assassinated. Then because there was these stupid alliances in place.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a really murky thing to get into. It's all
Yeah.
about the territory with Serbia and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just to make the point about most of the time people who do get killed is most of the time the organised ones don't do well, and then it's just pure dumb luck
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, even if it is planned.
It is, and it's a shame, but
Yeah, if you're gonna get into politics, just be careful.
yeah. But anything you want to add?
No, I think we've pretty much
I think
covered
I've
everything.
covered it. Thank you for digging down the rabbit hole. Next time we'll dig a little deeper. Bye bye.
See you later.
Bye.